Today, I got to go to the Universal Backlot. So, I have never been north of Disneyland. I really only went into LAX at one point, so I had never actually been to North Los Angeles, the Hollywood area, and so this trip was different. I intentionally made sure that I could go up to Hollywood and actually get to start touring some of the studios. So since I moved down to Orlando, I really have been exploring more of the theme parks around the area other than Walt Disney World, although of course I've been enjoying Walt Disney World a lot. But I also got an annual pass to Universal Orlando, and it's been amazing. I've loved being able to go there, especially things like the DreamWorks integration, seeing the different animated movies come to life, and of course, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is definitely my favorite. And so when I started to have this idea of making a California trip, I knew that I wanted to go to Hollywood. And of course, that led me to realize that I could go tour the Universal Backlot. So I booked a hotel in the area of Universal Hollywood, and I decided, since I heard through a friend that there was an ability to get off trams and walk around some of the backlots, I decided I would do a VIP tour. And so what that allowed me to do was, at the very beginning of the day, because I booked like the first time slot for the tour, what happened is that right before the park opened, they allowed us to go into this VIP area where there was a variety of things for breakfast, and then we got the tour together, and I had a very nice tour guide named Trevor who was an actor and has been acting for like a decade and moved here from Canada, which is wild. And turns out he was actually subscribed to my YouTube channel. So thank you, Trevor, much appreciated. And then the first thing we did was we got to go to the Universal Backlot. So what's really interesting about Universal and Hollywood is it's ingrained into the history of like filmmaking. So Universal as a company was founded and began in New York City, but then they moved their operations to the Los Angeles area and they formed their own city. So it turns out that like Disney wasn't the first to do this. Like it was Universal who was one of the first to build out a whole infrastructure around being an entertainment company. So I'm actually not staying in like Hollywood or Los Angeles. I'm staying in Universal City right now. And what that allowed them to do is they built a variety of different sound stages, which are just giant, massive buildings that are completely soundproof, so you can do whatever you want within them. And then actually make backlots, so create all of these structures and like setups that you can like customize and fit into whatever story you're trying to create. So, for example, we went down these areas that were like a New York style place and a more like European style location and then like a suburbia place. And so what happens is not even just Universal, which I found this to be extremely interesting, is that other studios, whichever filmmaker wants to, can pretty much show up to one of these backlots and customize them to what they would like them to be. And then the expectation is that they'll bring it back to its default state afterward, unless, in this case, Universal decides that they want to keep a certain section. One example of a piece that they decided not to change is actually featured in Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. It's this little moment when Jack is hiding from a variety of redcoats, and it's in that area that they decided they liked the aesthetic enough, which is very similar to New Orleans Square in Disneyland, since that's where the location of the original Pirates of the Caribbean was. And so there's like that type of aesthetic in the backlot. And that was the thing that kind of blew my mind the most, was the realization that everything that I've seen growing up at Disney World and seeing at like Hollywood Studios and everything around me in theme parks is so similar to what actually exists in these backlots, because it is all aesthetics for the purpose of just being able to create the illusion of reality. One of the stops in the suburbia area was this house that actually had bathrooms within it. I don't exactly know why they were set up originally, but we were able to go inside the structure. It was just crazy to see how like rudimentary and like bare bones, and how like much it just felt like a normal construction project that just like won't ever be finished, because they're all just facades. Because the reality is that most of these backlots are for specific outdoor segments, and most of the time once you go indoors, you go into a sound stage, one of these massive buildings. It just really allowed me to see behind the curtain of like the movie magic and the Hollywood reality that kind of like exists, is that there's just so much collaboration and building things, and how much like work and people have to be involved to like build these giant projects that are movies. And it's so cool that so many films have been on all of these locations, and how many actors and directors have like seen and worked at these locations. It just like completely blew my mind. I mean, one of the houses too, they just casually mentioned is like, oh, this is typically in like Ace commercials. And it was just really mind-blowing to see how all of these things kind of work together. Even some of the sound stages were specifically tailored for really niche things. Like there's one area that's only for flooding of a subway station, and that just like blows my mind that like a location, a piece of property in California can just exist for that sole purpose, but it must come up enough that it's needed. Then there was other experiences that was taking the tram that we were in and rocked it and rolled it and all this stuff to like immerse us into like fighting Kong and being immersed in a Fast and Furious movie, and those things were super cool too. But I think it was really just being around the whole history that was super exciting. One moment where it really set in where I was, the reality that I was around like the movie industry in its actual true form, was when I was standing in this backlot, the first one we got out of, and the tour guides were asking if anyone wanted pictures. And I was about to just kind of get on the bus, because I typically don't like to share things or like take myself out. I find it really difficult to vlog sometimes, because I just want to be immersed into and focus on what I'm doing and be present. But then I realized that this was the first backlot I had ever been on. And so I needed a picture of that. So I, like in the last second, I was like, hey, Trevor, could you please take a picture of me? Because I'm like, this will never be, like, I'll never have this experience again. And so I'm like, I need a picture of this. And I just felt like that was so surreal to like really sink in and realize. And of course, we also got to do all of the rides at Universal Hollywood, because being on a VIP tour means that you get brought to the front of all of the rides. And so it was really cool to see some of the rethemed rides. Like there was a Jurassic World ride that's rethemed from the one that's still exists in Universal Orlando. And there was a Secret Life of Pets ride that was just a classic dark ride with tons of animatronic dogs that was super cute. I haven't even seen those two movies, to be honest, but now I really want to. It seems really charming. I'm trying to think of other things that really were impactful. The roller coaster, The Mummy, has been closed in Orlando since I moved down there, and so I got to do that ride for the first time. Oh, and of course, I can't believe I didn't even mention this yet, but they actually have like a built-out DreamWorks theater that's all themed around Kung Fu Panda. And that was, of course, legendary. So I was super excited to see that. I was really surprised by how many references there were to DreamWorks properties. Outside of the main gate, they were playing How to Train Your Dragon music, and there was a donkey and a King Julian walking around, and I saw Shrek for like a brief second. It was really cool, because I really feel like DreamWorks has this, I mean, at this point, they have a track record, and of course it's not perfect by any means, but there are really impactful cultural hits that they possess, and I'm really glad that they can exist somewhere in a theme park. And I really hope that Universal continues to double down into them, because I would kill to see more Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, and How to Train Your Dragon in theme parks. There was also a massive stunt show called Waterworld that was really neat. And honestly, again, the thing that I found the most compelling about that was seeing that all of the actors in the stunt show are working on other projects. And I think that was really mind-blowing for me too, like talking to the tour guide Trevor. There are so many tour guides because that allows all of them to quickly go on to auditions and get a replacement. And so there's a lot of freedom for them to be able to explore their career. And I think it's just interesting to see how all of these people, it's crazy to think about how many people are all trying to like navigate the entertainment industry and find their in and find jobs. And it just blows my mind that there's so many people that are doing that, and so many people that are involved in this industry. Because I feel like, as someone who grew up in Wisconsin, that there's just like no one doing this. But in the reality of the Los Angeles area is that there's literally thousands of people that are working in the entertainment industry. And it's just so humbling and cool to witness, because it's something I really appreciate and love. I mean, I've been watching movies and appreciating them for, ever since I was a little kid. And so the reality of seeing real, like, and meeting people that are like trying to do it, that also aren't at like the pinnacle of social media careers or are already in like the blockbuster hits, that they're like not the leading man or the leading woman or something like that, that these are like the people that are just the people that are doing it day in and day out just because they love to do it. I think it's just so incredibly cool. And I was so happy that I came and did this experience, because it really like gives me a lot of energy to continue to pursue existing in the entertainment world in some way. I mean, of course, being in and around Orlando, the key focus is theme parks. Obviously, it makes sense. It's the theme park capital of the world, pretty much, with massive Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando and SeaWorld and Legoland. There's just so many around the area. But I think truly the reality is that my passion is the movies. It's really getting to like observe and immerse into these characters and stories, and of course for me it's also the art of animation that I just adore. And I just loved being around that type of energy and environment and like the romanticism of film. It just really felt like magic, even though what I was seeing was behind the scenes fake facades, all this construction and all these like decrepit things that are being altered and changed and ripped around and built, and I just found it so interesting. It was just like seeing the mundane behind the magic just made the magic feel more obtainable, in the reality of like it only looks fancy when it's on the screen. Otherwise it's just visceral, amazing like people doing cool things and putting money and research and time into this thing. And I just think it's so darn cool. It just makes me so excited. I totally like, I don't even know how to get involved in this stuff, but I'm just like, I just want to ask people to like be in their movies, like students or like people that are doing commercials or anything. Like, I just want to like be involved in this in some way. And that's the thing I really just felt walking away from this, is I'm just like, I love that I get to talk about movies and be focused around all this movie magic and dive into these characters that mean so much to me, because it feels like magic and it makes me so happy. Oh, I also forgot to mention that there was also a really nice lunch, and there was character walkarounds. I spoke to Dracula for a while. He was delightful, even though he said he was going to eat me at some point. So I was very pleased with being able to do the VIP experience. It's much more affordable than what it is at a Disney park. But it's the same type of experience. I don't necessarily know if it's necessary for everyone, because I mean, the studio tour is still available for people that are just having normal admission to the park. The main difference is the express pass, the VIP lunch, and then being able to walk around the backlot. But if you're a movie lover with the means to be able to go see and get around and like go and like touch the backlot, I feel like you'll feel the magic too. Thank you so much for watching and hearing me talk about this experience. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, let me know. I'm really interested in continuing to like explore sharing more stories like this. I just feel like there's something really cool about being able to just document the things that I'm working on and thinking about and like experiencing, and be able to share that with all of you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a very magical rest of your day.